and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
For the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is your host, Mr. Green, and I am just going to go ahead and start off right now saying that this episode that I am producing today, I'm going to shorten out because I don't even want to wait with preliminary segments on the show to talk about this episode, because this episode sucked so bad for me. I mean, as soon as WoW giveth, they taketh away. I mean, what was it, a week ago, a podcast ago, when I was saying, hey, this thing actually came off good. Everything flowed well together, and it built up to this particular point. I didn't necessarily agree with the finish, but okay, for them, that's pretty good. And then they turned around with this. And I know I've said it before. If I were not at this job that airs this, I wouldn't be watching this show. And this is another reason why I wouldn't. I would have tuned this crap out. Oh my gosh. I mean, it is amazing to me that two people alleged to have maybe 80 years of pro wrestling experience between the two of them could put this on the air and then say that it's good or that it makes sense. Whew. All right. But anyhow, before I get myself going, let us go and go right into the review. And then let's not even waste time. Let's not go into the other stuff. I will pick that back up on the next episode because, I have to do it. But we'll pick all the news, views, updates, and my Talking the Talk segment. I just started doing that, finding some, promos from young ladies from across the independent wrestling world and others to drop in there, and so we can at least kind of share the wealth of what they have done and, how good they talk. Maybe get their personalities over a little bit. Imagine that. Or at least do my part to help try to get the personalities over. But those things I will put a pause on, and we're going to go into this. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, normally there's a pause in here so I can include the ad breaks that YouTube likes to put in. I will try my best to maneuver those to where it's not completely intrusive. That's the whole reason I leave a blank spot in there, so it can drop that in without being intrusive to what's going on or what's being said. I will try to make that work here as well. But beyond that, we're just going right off into it. So let's go into the opening slate here for this particular episode. This was titled Wicked Sisterhoods. The episode number 336, season 3, episode 36. The air date was May the 17th. The chronological number was 140. All right, so it begins with a recap of the previous episodes in the main event and how Miami Sweet Heat screwed up, apparently. Then they show the Fab Four going into the same dressing room for some reason. So can't even get past the sentence without me asking this question. Why are they going in the same dressing room? Was the beef not with Miami Sweet Heat being upset that Penelope Pink and Holly Swag took their spot as the top tag team within the group? Did they not, they being WOW, did they not have a video segment stating that the Fab Four had broken up? But yet we see this. They're just all walking into the same room. Moments after, apparently, the twins tried to attack Holly Swag. Why would they even want to go into the same dressing room? What is this about? So, barring all of that, putting this aside, this is setting up a beef with the sisters. I wrote down, what is happening here? I would probably get that if there was some sort of build up to the sisters having a problem. Whether they had some sort of miscommunication twice, maybe. For things that are clearly not their fault. I mean, it's not as if you don't have eyes and you couldn't see it. But here is like they have just reduced themselves to complete idiots. I don't know why you'd hit me with a soccer rocks that you never carry around that I saw Holly Swag give you. Or that this person moved out of the way and, you know, they just didn't stand there and take it like they should have. I mean, and those things I can get past. The idea that they are still hanging with each other is what bothered me more than anything. We saw them walk out of the dressing room with them when they pushed Holly Swag and Pink down and subsequently pushed down Lana Star. We heard the voiceover talk about them being split up. She just tried to attack one of their air quotes stablemates. So what good reason would they have to even be in the same environment, much less an arm's length of them? But we got to move on. So this is setting up the beef, and that's not this little segment that they got going on here, this little whatever it is that they were trying to do, that's not even the worst of it yet. That comes later. So the commentators are setting up for the next match, and then we go to the next segment. The next segment is Samantha Smart and the Classmaster coming out the ringside, and of course they can't just walk out like normal people. Even though they don't have a match set, we got to have pyro. We got to do our opening bit. I got to stand. Samantha Smart's got to stand in front of the Classmaster so they can do their little pose, and she can open up the book and look at that, and this looks interesting. Then they walk out there, and then we get a promo. Samantha Smart cuts a promo that Dave McClain talks all the way through, answering, well, that sounds interesting. What does that mean? You know, doing that nonsense. And I've tried to give credit where it's due, and I will say that for the sake of conviction to what she's saying, Smart's fine, but delivery is not her strong suit here. She's not as emotional or good at putting the point across as other managers have been. And I will just preface everything I'm saying about everybody else, including her, by saying that's not to say that they can't get there one day, but that takes some time for some of them. Some people are natural, but in this case, it's probably going to take us some time to find a rhythm of being Samantha Smart, but that'll never happen because I'm sure she's being told that you're brilliant. That was fantastic. The problem with the Samantha Smart promo is that it's a Samantha Smart promo. It doesn't do anything other than deliver the lines. It doesn't sell a match. It doesn't put over the Classmaster. It doesn't put over any opponent. It doesn't put over any date, show, match, event, nothing. It's just come out here, insult the people, call them stupid, we're superior, we'll beat you up, rinse and repeat. That is her promo. I don't care what word she tosses into it. It's basically the same thing. Over and over and over and over and over again. And never mind that, of course, McClain has to butt in every chance he gets. So they come out there, they do the promo, and they basically are saying that, you know, give us some competition. Waiting in the wings is the Alliance. They come out and Gambino cuts her off. She cuts a promo. Now, Gambino's far better than this. The problem that Gambino has is that she and this entire group have just been absolutely defamed. And we'll get to that. So Gambino cuts her off, and essentially we're just going to move to the point. Del Rey accepts the challenge. She said, let me at her. So now we have Reina Del Rey coming out to the ring to take on the Classmaster. Dave McClain has to get up and, are you going to accept the challenge against Reina Del Rey? Is that really necessary? Is that necessary? It is like he just cannot help but to draw attention onto himself somehow. So he makes the match. And wouldn't you know, even though that is I can't even say whether it's a title match or not because they didn't even know if it was a title match or not. Adriana Gambino, despite the fact, we'll just say that her wrestler is going against the champion, whether it was an official title match or it wasn't, she does the same goddamn thing that she always does. She walked right past that ring and goes sat down next to Dave. Are you kidding me? When has she ever stood in the corner of her people? Ever. She didn't go out there with the Brat Packs tagging up for whoever they're going to lose to that week. And she didn't even stand in the corner with Reina while she's going against the champion. Easily the most important match on paper that she would have. Why? Now I know the real reason is that some knucklehead wrote it down. I'm like, all right, then you'll come down there and sit next to me while we're talking. But seriously, no one, while they're putting this show together, had the thought that, you know what, maybe she needs to stand there at ringside. Nope. Couldn't be bothered to do that. Couldn't be bothered to be in a corner. Here's where it starts bothering me. Yeah, where it starts. I know it sounded like it started a while ago, but this is where it starts bothering me. At one point, you have somebody, I think it's Gambino, that alludes to the fact that this, well, that's not the fact, but alludes to that this is a championship match. Then McClain goes out of his way to explain to you that it's not a title match. Well, if she wins, then she'd have to wait in line. This is just a contest. And she would have to, she being Reina Del Rey, would have to stand behind either Paola or Santana Garrett because they would be the number one contenders. And then I'm writing down, then why is this happening? For what good reason would Reina Del Rey come out there and wrestle against this woman if she is not even getting a title match? If it's just, and not even not getting a title match, I'm going to have to wait anyway. For what reason does that make any sort of sense? But let's just skip to what happens at the end. He basically then turns around after the Classmaster wins and was like, all right, well, she retained the championship. I was like, do you not remember your stipulations? And I'm not going into all the whole meat of it because it's not important. None of this is important. It was maybe as good as it's going to get. I have the utmost faith in every member of the Alliance as a talent. From Gambino to BK Rhythm to Gigi Gianni to Reina Del Rey, I have the utmost faith in all of them as in-ring workers and talent. But, and it pains me to say this, this Alliance thing should just be done. I don't know what WOW was deciding or thinking what they were going to do when they put them together because they haven't done a thing. I can remember when McClain, oh yeah, the Alliance got together and they're here to take over WOW. Seriously? How? They don't do anything. They haven't challenged for a title. They haven't competed to get in contendership for a title. They lose almost constantly. The manager never sits next to them at all or manages them. In fact, when the Brat Pack come out, you wouldn't even know they're part of a group. And then this match happened. Well, all 4 of them at ringside. And the heel champion in this heel versus heel match, so the audience didn't even know who they were rooting for. They were just clapping like they always do. This was just, first off, it was a brick versus a brick. They tried to, they played this up like it was, strong versus strong, whatever. But anyway, get back to the Alliance. They have been so defanged and neutered as a group. And I said when they got together, I know I got off my original thought, but I said when they got together, this is not a good position for them. They have nowhere to go. Because you knew full well Wow was never going to give up the Fab Four, so they weren't going to be in contendership for any of those things, the tag titles or the singular championship, the ones that matter. And then you got the vanity belts that's held on by top tier, and, they ain't giving them up. So what did that leave the Alliance to do? Nothing. And as I said, I have the utmost faith in all of those members, but this experiment is over. This match had, as much as I said that about Spring Break 24/7, I was like, there's no reason for them to ever win a match now. They couldn't even come close to beating somebody by themselves. 3 of them against Classmaster. And now the Alliance could not even get it together enough to give Classmaster a run for her money, which is still a stupid name. And Zantara, I'm just going to go ahead and agree with you right now. I have given up on the Classmaster. I wanted to believe that there was some hope that she might shake this crap off one day and actually try. But following reading some posts about her on Reddit and seeing her wrestle, and yes, I've seen her outside as low as grain every once in a while, and it looks like if she's in the right place, working for the right company, they may be able to get something out of her. But outside of that, left to her own devices, she is going to just be a world-class idiot on TV. And I'm talking about the Classmaster. She's just goofy and silly and just a gimmick from head to toe. And that is not even just my opinion. The Reddit post, somebody that I'd never seen, talked to or interacted with, basically had this very similar idea about her. So yes, I've given up on that because she's, whatever it is that she needs to be able to do, be a good wrestler, I don't think that she has any desire to do that beyond just being a cosplay wrestler. And I don't even say that as an insult. If you look at her Instagram page, that's basically what she does. She'll dress up like Scarlet Witch, or she'll dress up like some other anime character, or she'll dress up like Sailor Moon or whatever. And then she'll go off wrestling somewhere. Never mind the fact that she's got butt wrestling. And I thought that was a joke. When somebody put that, I was like, oh shit, she's got her own wrestling thing called butt wrestling. Like, oh, come on, that's not real. It is real. It's just a backyard indie that she got there. And that at that point, I was like, yeah, she's done. She is never going anywhere beyond being. This is the height of her career as a Classmaster. This is it. And I'm sure that's perfectly fine. I'm sure it feels great to be on TV. I am not going to take that away from her. I'm sure it feels great to be able to walk into a building and say, hey, look at me. I'm on television. And I wrestle as a Classmaster for Wow, Women of Wrestling. I'm sure that feels magnificent for her. So bravo to you for that. But any thought that I had, and maybe that's my fault, I shouldn't have tried to apply the wants or desires of other wrestlers out there to her. But I'm going to veer off of this match just to read the Reddit posts, or at least some of it. I'm not going to read all because it actually went on for, it's a pretty lengthy thread here. The post title is Classmaster Gimmick Question. This is by Weary Copy 6700. I'm going to disagree with his opening line, but we'll go on. She's a really good worker, has a great look and good size to beat smaller opponents, but she's into her own gimmick. Or is she into her own gimmick at all? She makes goofy faces and waves the prop in her hand and wears the Classmaster outfit, but does she do anything in a promo to sell it? Has no mannerisms or poses to sell it. Doesn't have any smart spots like look at her high IQ. She just seems like a jock in cosplay or a cosplay outfit that wasn't given a script and was told to go out there and wrestle and let your manager do all the selling. Most gimmicks that work don't have to even be that good, but you at least have to make an attempt to sell it. Has anyone ever seen her try to sell her gimmick even one time? Like if she took the outfit off tomorrow and wasn't a Classmaster anymore, would she even need to do anything different? I'm saying this because her act maybe could get over if they looked like they were trying with it. She's the champion, but it feels like she's just passing through, especially when it feels like a hand-me-down belt from the Beast noping out. They really need to stick the landing, proving she deserves the spot, and when she looks like she's bored sometimes or would rather do a different gimmick, to me it shows. Anyone else have thoughts on this? Now, before I go into anything else, I agree, yes, she makes goofy faces. She is a gimmick from head to toe. From the book to the cap and gown to the schoolgirl outfit is just like a mishmash of, all right, well, you're a student, but you got this. We have to try to make it look smart somehow, so wear this cap and gown and act like you're reading. It's stupid. It always has been, always will be. So, Stephen Dickey. You remember him? Probably got out while he had a chance. But Stephen Dickey responded to that. Here's what he wrote. Only met Lois briefly. I was on my way out when she started with WoW. However, one thing I found interesting is she would introduce herself under her indie name and not her WoW character. Most people would introduce themselves and at least mention their characters on the show. She would introduce herself as Lois or whatever her indie name was. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes Selena or David will tell someone their gimmick because they have a vision in mind that they feel must get on TV. For instance, David searched for years to find the right person to play Americana before bestowing it on Samantha. That was a misfire right there. And that's me saying that, not Stephen Dickey. Then other times it's a collaboration on character or gimmick. Regardless, there's usually some input from the worker to some extent. They never would saddle anyone with a gimmick or character that's the antithesis of the person portraying the character. Ultimately, I'm not sure how she feels about herself, but it does seem like something that's more of a David and Selena creation and less something the worker came into wanting to do. Yeah. And then there's the last one. This is by Flybot76. And this is where I was like, he's got to be joking. So if you've heard the original poster by Weary Copy 6700, the response by Stephen Dickey, Flybot had this interjection. She has her own little promotion called Butt Wrestling, which I think is mostly stuff she sells on OnlyFans. And it's like if John Waters did a wrestling show. So I think she probably doesn't have a lot of creative or emotional investment in the WoW. 6 months ago, she seemed more active in selling the Classmaster character, but in the last few months, she seems less engaged. Less time on the mic, etc. I know some of the WoW performers have other promotions they're working with or producing while they pay their bills with TV work. So if we're going to take into account that she lost interest, I would assume that she would have had to lose interest over a matter of weeks, not months. And when I say that, I mean like weeks within a 30-day period. Because as we know, WoW was shot all in September, which is another thing that bothers me because it didn't make any difference what you care about the characters. It didn't make any difference whether you like somebody or not. Whether the crowd get behind them, whether the audience watching gets behind them or not, it doesn't make any difference because they can't do anything about it. They have already picked who they're going to have. They've already got the matches and the angles for whatever they are already done. Means nothing. But I do agree that she is just playing the part. And that's how it comes off. It just looks like she's just playing the part. Never mind the fact I'm not sure how well trained she happens to be. Another case of maybe the look is good, but she probably does not need to be on national TV. Beyond the fact that when she was in the commentating booth that one time, it's like, holy cow, I heard her speak. Beyond that, it's like exactly what the guy said. You know, she doesn't say anything. She just stands around smiling and pointing at her head all the time. So there is no chance that even if she wanted to get the Classmaster over, even if she had the inclination, like, I think I could do this with it or I could make this happen, if that was even a remote thought, it was never going to take place. And it didn't. So let's get to the high spots of the match. Like I said, the two of them locked up. They did the jockeying for position between two powerhouses, and that was fine. At some point in the match, the Scholar collar gets locked in on Del Rey. She bites her hand to get out of it. She still does the heel tactics. The thing that gets me in a lot of this is that I'm sure the concept was, well, we got to get the Classmaster over. They should have been doing that a long time ago. Not here. And this, to me, just illustrates just how painfully thin the babyface side of this roster just happens to be. So, the Superplex. I am in a room at work, and when we saw that, it did get some oohs. Oh my gosh, that woman almost got her neck broke. You know, it did get that. But here again, like, I don't know if Classmaster knew what she was doing in that particular instance. That is a 2 to tango spot, and if you can't do it, you probably shouldn't be up there. I mean, it's fortunate for her that she didn't come down on her head. But, you know, it is what it is, and I can only imagine that there was some protection that was going on within that particular moment. But yeah, you can go back and you look at some of that and you can get the, oh my gosh, you know, you can get that, but it looked like it might have been close. I mean, I saw there the class was basically put her arm, she was ready for a suplex just to begin with. Looked like I don't know why she was hugging her body, but you know, it just did not look great going up and going over. And again, sorry to say that about someone that I enjoy and respect. And as this is going on, of course, Gambino doesn't do anything. Samantha Smart is literally just wandering around ringside. Heel manager doesn't do a thing. And why should she? Because apparently the alliance has no ability to work cohesively whatsoever. BK Rhythm gets up on the apron. Gigi Gianni slides the chain in. They're about to try to set the Classmaster up for a big shot. she gets out of the way because she has eyes in the back of her head. Del Rey nails Rhythm. Gianni goes over to check on BK while Adriana Gambino just shouts from the commentating booth. And then a big boot that fortunately the editors cut on the lack of impact to put her down. I probably would have felt bigger about the big boot if that had been an established finishing move, but when she began to establish it, then she started doing the other thing, which is a weak move to begin with. And then 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then Dave McClay like, oh, well, she retained the championship. And that's why I was like, oh, my gosh, I cannot believe this dude does not even remember what the stipulation was. And it bothers me more because this is an edited show. It's not like you couldn't fix it. Take the comment out. One of them, and make it clear whether this is a championship match or not. But who knows? Maybe it was a championship match. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Why was this a heel versus heel match? And this match has permanently stained the alliance. Just be done with it. I'm sorry. Let Del Rey go. Or maybe have Gambino be her manager if she can manage to stay at ringside. Let the Brat Pack go and let them wander off. They can do bad on their own. This match, very disappointing. Next segment, Gloria Glitter with Top Tier taking on Sugar. Of course, Top Tier comes out in a group. Sugar comes out by herself, despite the fact that Top Tier in their universe has been labeled as some sort of dangerous faction. Willing to hurt people and send them to the hospital and break arms and whatever, right? And of course, none of these things ever happened. It was just the fact that Tara Strike is made of toothpicks, and Ashley Blaze came in with a knee injury that apparently got aggravated, or maybe she just used that as an excuse to escape this madhouse while she had a chance to do it. We start off with B-roll of Top Tier walking down this unfinished hallway in the back of the studio so they can look like they're intimidating with their vanity belts and stand at the top of the ramp with the pyro going off. Zayn and McClain say that many experts agree that Top Tier is the greatest team in all of professional wrestling. I'm like, who said that? Who would say that? And let's be clear here. Not to, go crapping on Top Tier, but they're not even the greatest team on their own show. How on earth would anybody look at them? I don't care how many times that they try to say. Campanelli saying it is one thing. She's the heel. She should say it. Whether I agree with it or not, which obviously I don't, she should say it because she's the heel and she's trying to put the team over. So I'm not going to knock her. But then you have David McClain feed into that nonsense. At least Nigel has the sense to try to make it sound like, somewhat, this isn't verbatim, but basically like they're the greatest team in the world. If you don't believe them, just ask them. That type of thing. At least he has the sense to do that. But McClain will follow behind any sort of statement like that to try to make them out to be self-indulgent, narcissistic heels and like, many experts agreed. What expert? It cannot possibly be an expert if they believe that. They don't wrestle anybody. They've won a bunch of matches, but they've beaten nobody. Like who? Sugar and Spice and whoever their teammate happened to be that day, or the Dojo Defenders and their rotating door partners until they got rid of the other Dojo Defenders, until now we're back down to exactly what I said it was going to be. A hodgepodge of people thrown together just so they can have some opponents to wrestle. I hate this division and I hate that belt or those belts. If I had any say-so in WoW, if I was ever given a single day to do anything with WoW, I would have all three of them march out to the ring, hand those belts over, and I would throw them in the trash on national TV. That's the value of those vanity belts. They mean nothing. It's just something to make somebody happy in the back because they complained enough, well, I need a belt, so they got one. Wasting more Genie Busters money for no good reason because the bottom line here doesn't matter. So anyhow, the only saving grace that this particular episode, well, I'm not going to say the episode because that devalues the next match. But one of the saving graces of this episode is that the match between Sugar and Glitter is good. They worked well. Can't take that away. They both look good. Sugar was trying to go for some pins. She was trying to, the effort to win the match was very clear and evident. And you have to appreciate that. However, the narrative of this thing going into it was that Top Tier was on some sort of losing streak. Individually, we've gone out here and we've lost over and over and over again. So you would likely believe that this would play into that somehow, some way, or something along those lines. Again, skipping to the end here. Nope. Didn't play in it whatsoever. They brought it up. No, let me not say that it wasn't brought up. But Gloria Glitter won. Surprise, surprise, spoiler alert. Gloria Glitter won this match, so whatever string of losses that they had that was causing friction within the group or potentially creating some sort of Achilles heel for the team or doing whatever it is that was going to push a new narrative for Top Tier, that ended right then and right there. So I can already say, and when I did the prediction for this, I was like, well, I'm assuming that Sugar lost. I mean, not lost, but I'm assuming that Sugar won because, they were talking about how Gloria Glitter lost this match that we never saw. Never saw that match. So, I have no idea. No idea what the point of this was, how it played into anything that they were doing. And I am honestly at the stage where I believe that a lot of them that know better just accepted, like, you know what, the check clears. Let me just make this dude happy and had the match that he wants me to have. Just so long as it still cashes out, I'm fine. Sugar tried to pin Glitter several times, but she was unsuccessful. Glitter pinned Sugar with a gory bomb. And I wrote after this, all right, so what was the tantrums for? Why? So after they win this match, then they just arbitrarily decide to attack Sugar. Like, all right, well, let's get her. While this is going on, Zayn brings up that, hey, they're attacking her. I thought you fired them, David. I did. This is so awful. The fine I said then was worthless, and even bringing it up, I was like, well, okay, it didn't work the first time. Why aren't you fining them again or charging them more or suspending them or doing something else? Nope. Didn't happen. Why even bring it up? So after that, Xena Phoenix and Kara Kai come out to save Sugar and set up a trios title match. I assume. Because somewhere in the promo, Kai basically said that it's not even about the belts anymore. So I'm not sure if it's a title match or not, quite honestly. But one thing I can say for certain is that whoever is coming up with their promos, because like short of maybe a handful of people at that company, the babyface promos are just awful. Kara Kai And this is not a knock on her wrestling, by the way. And I can only assume that she's been given these words more or less. But Cara Kai has cut the same promo for about 5 or 6 months. You don't believe me? Go back and listen to her. If she's addressing Top Tier. We're so sick of this. We're tired of you. I've had it up to here with you. We're tired of the bullying. This isn't about this anymore. You guys cheat. I was like, it's just the same. And Xena Phoenix is painfully bad. So bland. You don't want to get in the ring and just wrestle. God damn. Have a personality. And when I hear this and think about the idea that Dave McClain would tell anybody that, well, you know, this is the best women wrestlers in the world. The ones that have the talent are not talented enough to prop up the people who are that inexperienced. They're surrounded by them. It might be different if it was like 1 or 2. But it's like half of their roster. People that just got the job because like, oh shit, I see this in the papers, so I'm an audition. Oh. How many more times is Kai going to have enough? Because that's the crux of her entire promo. It's like, well, I've had enough of this. How many times is she going to have enough? She's had enough for like half the year. Never mind the fact that during this match, McClain seemed like he was trying to get over Sugar Rush. The match in and of itself is short, but is good. It's just the narrative following that is just, well, following / during is just nonsensical. Because, like I said, whatever this losing streak thing that they had, that seems to be over. And now we're back to where we were. Top Tier is a bully team. We got to find some combination of people to get together and beat them. I just hope that these belts go away. And Top Tier just leaves. I have not wanted anybody to leave that company, but I'm tired of that. It is the most uninspired. I can't even say angle. It's not an angle. It's just a series of matches of them just dealing with whoever happens to be there. They couldn't even do a good injury angle. And it makes it so difficult to get behind anybody or anything when there's almost no stakes. You don't hear anybody talk except for the select few that can hold a microphone because they're granted the ability to do it. I don't know. But, man, So, there you have it. We got that match to look forward to. Top Tier now taking on Xena Phoenix, Cara Kai, and Sugar. Do not say I didn't. Don't act like I didn't tell you so. I told you. It is going to devolve into just anybody they can throw together to make a team. And here you are. Next segment. Fury, Daisy Lane, and Chainsaw taking on Chantilly, Chella, Holidead, and Roxxy. I assume that this is a feud built off of Roxxy versus Chainsaw, but who knows because no one's ever said anything else about it other than the commentators somewhat. But this was probably a match highlight or a show highlight. Quite possibly the best match they had during this particular episode. Everybody that worked hard, and it looked like it at least. One of the problems that I had with it was Fury is back into the floater position of just whomever needs me. I thought that she was doing something with Veronica Varun, and that may well come around. But, yeah, Chainsaw and Daisy Lane needed somebody to throw in there with her, so here we are. I guess Siren was unavailable that day. Or whatever other, Miranda Mirage, I guess she was unavailable too. Not that that would have helped anything, because I'm sure that match would have been awful. So now that I'm thinking about it, man, look, I wish Fury had some sort of clear direction that she was going in, but she probably was the only reason that team had somebody who can help carry it. So, again, going into the play-by-play of this is unnecessary. We'll pick up some of the highlights in here. But needless to say, without any sort of additional prodding or having to bring it up, Daisy Lane, amongst all coworkers that have come across this show and knows anything about wrestling or watched it from anywhere else, all pretty much independent of each other, have said the same thing. Who's she supposed to be? Either Harley Quinn or Timu Alexa Bliss. It's always one or the other. She's a Harley Quinn? Oh, she's supposed to be Alexa Bliss. I was like, it is the same thing. And man, there are these points where they try to do, I guess, some tandem moves and what have you, they being Bliss and Chainsaw, but it does come off like the timing's just a little bit suspect in what they do. Roxxy, I like, but it's another case of, I think, somebody who's just not ready for the spot that she's in because she just doesn't have the experience for it. It's not that she can't get there. It's not that she doesn't do well. It's not that she didn't show that she's strong. I don't really like the little dancing squat down and sit on Fury spot that they did in there, because that was just ridiculous. And I believe I brought this up before. At this point, she needs to find out who Roxxy is. Roxxy is just like an extension of Foxy. Basically the same gimmick. Essentially have to do the same thing. I got to come out with a fur coat, got to dance, I got to do all that stuff. She needs to be something else, because the Fierce Sisters is just a dead in the water team. Because I'm sure her sister went off and auditioned for what she really wanted to do and not be a wrestler. Now, anyhow, Roxxy had a good show of strength when she hoisted Fury up over his shoulders. I mean, I really wanted her to be able to get to where some people can help her look strong in the ring. Some people that can bounce around for her, that can sell big for her, help her find her rhythm as a powerhouse wrestler. Although I'm pretty sure that is not going to happen within this particular season or segment of WoW. The highlight of this match was Holidead, where she'd worked strong for a good chunk of this, and she looked great doing it. The tilt-a-whirl backbreaker when Chainsaw grabbed her and she started fighting herself out of the corner, catching Lane, jumping out of there, throwing it to Chainsaw, giving her a big boot, splashing her in the corner. I mean, she looked great when she's doing all these things. Spine buster, all of that. I mean, I even put down the note, Roxxy should learn from Holidead. She should learn how to work strong like her. Because if you could get that kind of action out of Roxxy, you might be able to make yourself a star. You might. I doubt that that's going to happen because I don't think that they're ever going to make any efforts to get her in any sort of star power. I'm pretty sure in their minds, like, well, she's a star right now. So getting towards the end, despite the fact that when I thought the match was good, here we got the baby faces just, I guess, being dismantled. Holidead gets into a brawl with Chainsaw. Chainsaw just throws out of the ring when Fury pulls the rope down. Chella comes in and tries to get a springboard, and then Fury just backhands her out of midair. And then as Roxxy's just standing there looking at the action, not even making the effort to come in, despite that everybody else is in the ring other than her, she just waits for Fury to come over there and punch off the apron so that Daisy Lane and Chainsaw can do their finishing move, and then she gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Chella bites the dust again. And the heels win clean. And there we go. Now, where the heels go, or I should not the heels, we're not concerned about them because I'm pretty sure Lane and Chainsaw are just probably going to float around until, maybe next season when they try something else. But Fury, my question now is, where does this take her? Does she still float or have some misdirection about what she's doing? Is she going to even begin to start anything up with Veronica Varun? Like, as much as we've seen Varun come out there and watch her twice, but they've not even interacted yet. Not to say that that's a surprise or wow, because it will not shock me if they just walk out one day as a team and then Dave McClain and Nigel Zane explain it. Like, oh, well, they got together in the back and decided that they need to go after the tag titles or whatever. I'm waiting on that, by the way. The next segment, Sibley Scoles has a backstage thing as she sets up the main event for the evening. I wrote down this segment looks like they just hired a video editor who just found some new buttons to play with. Because for whatever reason, in the middle of her talking, they just decided, like, let's turn this black and white and give her three windows of herself on the screen. I was like, what was that for? I've used the term that it doesn't insult me as a wrestling fan, it insults me as an editor. This is one of those points that insults me as an editor. That was a completely unnecessary effect thrown on there for no good reason. They're trying to sell the main event. That thing is distracting. So, but whatever. It's your show. Next segment after that, yeah, that was it. Sibley Scoles, she just did that, then it was over. Next segment after that was a video package to set up the main event. Then we go to the next segment. Lana Star in the back with Carlson twins and Swag and Penelope Pink. Now remember at the beginning of this, I said that the whole thing just didn't make any sort of sense to me. It just, why are they even in the same room when they went off to attack Holly Swag? I mean, keep in mind that was a title match and they tried to cause them to lose. Right? So there only seems to be one logical thing to solve this problem because, the twins are like, what happened to us? What happened to me? What'd you do? And it's like blaming each other, apparently. Then Lana Star sets up a match where, like, well, for the good of the Fab Four, y'all two just need to work this out and have a match. This isn't verbatim, but that's basically what it came down to. You two need to wrestle. I wrote, where did this come from? I understand that this was going to happen eventually. I had no doubt about that. At some point, they were going to put them in the ring with each other if they were on that show long enough. But I was like, where did this come from? The heat was between the teams. They should have never even been in the same space with each other. Never mind Lana Star has not had a thing to do with either one of the twins for weeks. But now all of a sudden, like, oh, well, we'll just take your word for it and we'll have this match that you just set up for us. So they decide to listen to her, apparently. And you know what the big selling point of this match is? Is twin versus twin. That's it. No sort of emotional tie, no sort of, I'm tired of her or this is messing up or this, because there isn't anything there. And they know it's nothing there. These two mishaps that they have just led to this. I mean, they had more issue with Pink and Swag. They had a shoving match. They tried to cause them to lose. There was more there to get this thing going between the war of the Fab Four, or whatever you want to call it, Pink and Swag versus the Coulson twins, Miami Sweet Heat, Lana Star in the middle. They may well do that, but it'll be out of place. I honestly don't get it. Who thought that this was a good idea? And I gotta sit and watch this later on tonight as I'm recording this. But anyhow, it just WoW is awful at setting up angles. I tried to give them some sort of credit to that, but I don't remember a single angle that happened on this show that was any good. Maybe somebody can leave one in the comments like, well, this one was okay. But honestly, at this point, I cannot think of a single angle that was any good or that didn't fall on his face after starting off good or with some promise, and then it just took a swift left turn into stupidity. So that's what we're getting now. The twins are going to wrestle each other. Even though we thought that, all right, well, maybe they'll have a problem and wrestle off against the other team and try to get the tag belts off of them or whatever. Nope. Next segment is a social media spot for their website with some outdated pics and showing the Beast as still being the champion. I mean, on the one hand, good that they actually have a website spot and a social media spot, but on the other side of that, it's like, that probably should be updated by now. You do have editors. Just update the spot, get a clip of the video of the website as it looks now and sell that. I've already talked about if you see them on most other places, like on your guide on your TV or something like that. And I can only speak for my particular broadcast company out here. But they are using all old footage, all old pictures, and even their old logo. Those things should have been updated. I know for a fact there's cities or networks across the country right now, because of the courtesy of the job, that are running commercial spots for WoW that are 3 years old. Like there's maybe one person that's in the footage that is actively wrestling for that company. Everybody else has left or quit or stopped wrestling altogether. I mean, they're showing the Beast, they're showing the Tonga Twins, they're showing Glitch the Gamer. How long was she even there? Like what? 3 episodes? Moving on. Next segment is the promo for the twin versus twin match, because like I said, that is the only selling point that this has. Because there's everything else around it. Well, there's nothing else around it. So let's just stop right there. And then we get to the main event. Paola Mayfield with Abliene Maverick versus Santana Garrett. This match is being portrayed as settling the controversy. Now let's do a brief recap of how we got here. We had Genesis, who was on a campaign to try to be the wild champion or get a shot at it. She got a match against the Classmaster, which they made very clear that this isn't a title match. And then she lost that one clean. Not sure what the controversy there was, but we'll move on. Paola Mayfield did get a title match against the Classmaster. I don't even remember how, and it's not important. Because she was unable to pin the Classmaster in that particular instance, just up and decided like, well, I'm just going to hit the referee. She did that on her own volition. It wasn't by mistake. It wasn't that it was anything that was overly frustrating. Like she literally came short once and just decided, I'm going to clothesline this guy, who then decided that he needed to stay down and unconscious for 2 or 3 minutes because this woman half his size clotheslined him and he couldn't move. So again, not sure what the controversy was because he woke up and was like, hey, you're disqualified, as he should have. Then we get Santana Garrett, who actually was cheated. She decided, well, I'm going to take whatever you give me, David. That's pretty much what she says. Then she gets a number one contenders match. A number one contenders match against Genesis. Beats Genesis clean, but then is immediately reinstituted into another number one contenders match, all because Genesis complained, and then Abliene Maverick came out on the ramp and said, well, I deserve a shot too. Or Paola Mayfield deserves a shot. And then they was like, all right, well, we got to clear up this controversy, so I'll make a three-way. I was like, okay. And then we get the three-way based on that, air quotes, controversy. Genesis taps out to both of Santana Garrett and Mayfield because the referee couldn't make a decision. Like, I don't know who she tapped out to, so And then we're here. Before I even go into that match, I don't expect anybody that's on Wild's roster to openly or actively say that these angles are senseless and embarrassing. I don't expect anybody to say that. So I'm going to say it for them. These angles are senseless and embarrassing. They are the height of wrestling stupidity, short of being a backyard indie. There, ladies, I did that for you. You can play that in the room with Selena Majors or Dave McClain if you want. This is stupid. So, main event time. Mayfield comes strutting down the ringside along with her manager / best friend, Abliene Maverick, who I assume was injured at some point with the Beast and just, I'm just going to be a manager now. But then again, of course, because everything is so condensed and wild, she might be perfectly fine wrestling at this point in reality. But that's neither here nor there. So we got heel Paola Mayfield coming out. And she's taking on babyface Santana Garrett. Not that babyface or heel mean anything in this company to begin with, because, why should it? So, the commentators, as this is starting up, make having the Wild Championship sound like it will bring prestige onto the holder. I am going to call bullshit on that. It might have if they had done something to actually make the belt mean something, but I mean, when any jackleg that they got in that roster can just go up and get it, no, it doesn't do anything for anybody. Have they had quality champions there? Sure. But here's the problem that they've had with that championship belt, if we're going to veer off for a second. One, the lineage of that belt is muddled. It has like a gap of 14 to 15 years of nothing. Most of the people in its initial stages had that one shining moment in professional wrestling and just gave up on it altogether. So you can't look at a Terry Gold or a Danger or a Lana Star, even though I like her as a manager. You can't look at them and be like, oh, man, they held the belt. Wow. No pun intended. Then you got the people who actually could have done something for the belt. Santana Garrett, Penelope Pink, Princess Aussie. None of them had the chance to really make anything happen with that. Garrett had the belt in a dark period of the company, so it meant absolutely nothing at that point. Jungle Girl had it during the dark period of that company. So it, again, didn't mean anything. Couldn't have matches to really help sell it. Same rules apply for, like I said, with Garrett, and you can say the same for Ozzy and Pink. Didn't have it long enough. Didn't have enough opponents to really help push it. They tried, but it wasn't enough. Blanchard has some great matches with it, but it's attached to her name now, and her name's been soiled. That's by her own doing, so it's not that I can feel sorry for her. Right, wrong, good, bad, whether you agree with it or not, the fact of the matter is that she and her name do not help that belt. And Wild decided to double down on the fact that she had heat by selling Tessa Blanchard nuclear heat t-shirts. And you see where that got them. And then they went back to the tried and true. We'll just hire some actresses and give them the belts. We got the Beast. Nothing came of that. We got the Classmaster now. Nothing's going to come from that. And if Mayfield does anything, it's probably not going to help either. So the concept of the Wild Championship being this prestigious thing, I'm sorry to disappoint, but it ain't. They didn't even make the effort to try to make it look prestigious. There's been indie shows that have done more to accomplish that. Even if it meant like, hey, we're going to have a Hall of Famer come out here and present the title to you or make a big deal about the championship or whatever. Nope. Because WoW exists in its own little bubble where, according to them, everybody's already a star and WoW superheroes. Yay. So, the match itself. I don't want to just rag on Mayfield, but come on, man. She is not ready for this spot. I'm sorry, she's not. Because it's either a case of the chemistry there just wasn't clicking between the two of them, or Mayfield is just not experienced enough to make the match work. And I'm going to go with the latter. She's probably not experienced enough to make the match work. So, this is everything that you would expect. It's everything that you would have thought. There's Little showcase in the Mayfield being able to go out there and be pampered by her manager. There's Santana Garrett smiling and just, all right, I'll just wait my turn for you to come in. There's the referee just standing around while they're on the outside and not even bothering to count. I mean, just all this stuff. So, I mean, it's like even Maverick just fixing the boots and fluffing her hair and just all that. While Garrett is ho-hum. Until you get in, I'll just wait my turn. I haven't talked about the overacting of the people on the front row, but, you know that's there. So, let's get to, I guess, whatever would be important in this. There's a couple of spots that looked like they either got flubbed or didn't quite go as well. The exchange between the two, which looked extraordinarily fake. I don't know why it was just that they had to stand there and just, and it looked like during that exchange, like something was forgotten. Like, who's supposed to hit who here? Even with going for the headbutt spot, it's like Mayfield forgot, oh, shit, I'm supposed to get hit in the head right now. Then they tried a double boot spot, which clearly got screwed up. And they had to do it again, and that didn't even look good the second go-round. And then we get the handstand spring into the corner, which Mayfield didn't sell for 2 seconds. Took it, came right out of it. She gets pushed into the ropes. We get the rise and shine thing from Garrett, which this time it actually had a better sense of timing. She got up, and she being Mayfield, and turned into it like she should have. And then Garrett goes for the, I'm going to call it a stratisfaction or stratosphere. The head scissors off the top rope. That Mayfield was able to counter. Tries to go for a splash, and that just did not look well. Looked more like she just tripped over Garrett as she was rolling out of the way. And then that sets up for Garrett to go for a finish, which, the obvious thing is I'm going to go towards the manager who's going to screw me up. Because when she gets to the ropes, we see Abliene Maverick grab her wrist and yank her down, so she cannot do her finishing move. Mayfield then gets up and does her awful finish. That neckbreaker looks insanely bad. I'm sorry. There's nothing that looks like that would just finish off a match in that. It just, I'm going to run by, I'm going to put my hand on your head, and you flip over. I mean, at this point, I would prefer just a standard neckbreaker. Just grab the head and just do a neck breaker and ride that thing down. Because the one that she's doing, this one-handed neck breaker it just looks bad. So Mayfield hits that, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. Now she's the number one contender. And it makes Garrett look like a complete idiot. For sitting there and like, I'll just wait and earn my spot. She wrestled and won at least 2 or 3 times. McLean gets like, well, she should be mad as a hornet's nest for this. I was like, yeah, she should be, but for not the reasons that you're saying. You screwed her out of a number one contendership. She should be pissed. But since babyfaces on WoW have no feelings other than smiling and agreeing with everything, that's not going to happen. This now leads to heel Paola Mayfield going against heel Classmaster for the WoW Championship again, because the first time had so much intrigue and interest to it that we got to run it back. It is a shining example of why I say it doesn't matter what you think about the show or who does what or who's wrestling better than the next person. It does not matter. And if you are running does not even call it a wrestling promotion. Let's call it for what it is, a television show. And that's all this is a TV show that happens to have wrestling as a backdrop. If you're running that and you don't have to answer to the bottom line on it, you can do whatever you want. If you don't have to be concerned with how much pay-per-view buys or merchandise is being sold or tickets being put out, or if you don't have to deal with that and the person that's financing this is just happy with episodes being made, they could probably do this indefinitely. And that's all this is about. It's just making episodes. And anybody that's looking at it should just accept it for what it is. Just that. There's nothing more, nothing less. This is crank out match after match after match. Let's have a thinly veiled storyline in there somehow and string it together and we can get a show. Because he's not trying to make people come back and watch. How would this match be interesting? And I'm sure somebody will watch it. Hell, I'll watch it. Largely because I'll be at work and I'll have to. But, how's this supposed to make anyone care? You have two of their probably least experienced people get in the ring and wrestle for what is alleged to be the richest prize in women's wrestling, the Wild Championship. And if Jeannie Buss wanted to just throw money away, she could have gave that to me. I could have put on a wrestling show. I mean, I honestly, at this stage, I honestly do not think I could do any worse than that. I'm not even going to say think. I know I will not do any worse than that. Just the idea that these angles are supposed to be good is ridiculous. And I know for a absolute fact that there's people that's on that roster that were trying their best to make all this stuff work out. Trying their best to make this make sense, giving their best effort to try to have a good match. But then they're saddled with so much, like it's only so much that they can do. And I keep trying to make the point, I don't want to make it come off like everybody there that answered an ad is just going to be awful at wrestling. There's some people who didn't grow up as wrestling fans watching it that became very good at it. But at some point, they had to give a respect for it and they had to have some love for it exist in them to get to the point that, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this my best effort. I'm going to make this thing work. Instead of just coming on TV and just, all right, well, now it's time for me to put on my costume and play the role that I'm given. This show is mind-numbing. And then there's David McClain. And I never wanted to criticize his commentating and all that. I never wanted to do that. I still don't want to do that. But I have to say right now, he is just an albatross to that commentating booth. It is just too much attention being dragged onto him that he goes seemingly out of his way to get. I mean, there are times when it feels like the show is just his show and the other people just happen to be around it. And I have to be as animated and as over the top as I could possibly be. I got to make sure that somebody comes over here and sits next to me so that I can get some attention on myself. If a match goes on, I got to make sure that I get the microphone so I can feed the house so they can hear me. And if I got to make an announcement, I have to make it as dramatically as possible, even though I have a ring announcer that's sitting 3 feet behind me. If it happened every once in a while, it would probably be okay. But it's every week. It's every week and every episode. I am certain, I don't even know what the full lineup of the next show is. I'm certain that somebody's going to come down there like, hey, David, let me sit there. You know, they're just going to do what they normally do. Come down there and sit next to them. And then have some conversation about something that's irrelevant. As we wait to see the twins face off against each other. Anyhow, yeah, I could not wait to do that. It's just, oh boy. So anyhow, I'm not even going to continue. Let's look at what is due to come up this next episode that I got to endure. And this is going to be season 3, episode 37. The title of this one coming up is Twin versus Twin. It's the first ever twin versus twin match in WoW history. Miami's Sweet Heat, Lovely Laurie, and Luscious Lindsay Carlson throw their sisterly respect out the window when Lana Star pits the feuding sisters against one another in an attempt to flush out the animosity that has infected the Fab Four family. Will Lindsay and Laurie be able to leave their sibling rivalry in the ring? The Brat Pack, BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni, with Reina Del Rey and Adriana Gambino, the Alliance, throw down with Big Rig Betty and Jesse Jones. After a string of frustrating losses in the ring, Genesis aims to climb the ranks once again in a match against Scout Parker. Animal Instinct's feisty superheroes, Goldie Collins and Katarina Jinx, have a contentious rematch with the happy-go-lucky duo of Tiki Chamorro and Kalaki the Island Girl. Well, that sounds like a banger show there. First off, it sounds ridiculously stupid that, well, we'll have these two sisters fight each other in order to solve the problems within the Fab Four that existed beyond them two fighting each other. The Brat Pack, the fact that Del Rey and Gambino coming out there at all is shocking. But you know, Adriana's got to go sit in that the commentating booth. If she did anything different than that, I would be shocked and amazed. So I'm fully expecting her to go sit down and, hey, David, and talk about a pizza party or something else like she did this last episode. I'm expecting Big Rigs and Bourbon to win, by the way. Again, if it went someplace other than that, shocking. I will be pulling for Laurie, but I expect Lindsay to win. Genesis over Scout Parker, even though I like Scout Parker. So she's had her 2 wins, just enough to give her some sort of credibility against Genesis. And Animal Instinct against Chamorro and Kalaki, the New Island Dynasty. I'm surprised he hasn't labeled them that yet. And Animal Instinct won last time. All they did was they just got some headbutts at the end and made them look bad, I guess. So I suppose that's the reason for the rematch. Or maybe Chamorro and Kalaki wanted one. But I have no faith that this is going to be some sort of rivalry or feud. So I'm going to go with the superheroes, and I use that quote, air quotes around that, Collins and Jinx. Shouldn't they be super villains? Aren't they heels? Heroes got to be slapped on everybody. Like I said before, you know, that doesn't sound like something they thought through. Everybody cannot be a superhero. But anyhow, that is where we are with this. And that is the match those are the matches that we got to look forward to. I am not looking forward to any of these. All due respect to everybody that's on the show. Like, I'm not invested enough in any of this. There's nothing there that I'm like, man, I can't wait to see this. Nothing. I have nothing. I do not care about Animal Instinct in the least. I like Chamorro and Kalaki, even though Kalaki, for whatever reasons, will bypass a pinfall so she can try to surf on somebody's back. I already said what I feel like going to happen with the alliance. Gambino to the ringside, shouting stuff from the commentating booth. Watch the Brat Pack lose and rinse and repeat. Genesis probably over Scout Parker. And I assume Lindsay. And then where that goes from there, who knows? All will be right with the world with the Fab Four, possibly. Ugh. So that's the episode, folks. I appreciate you tuning in to hear me rant and rave about this thing. I will also end on this, other than giving my plugs of go to WPN Wrestling, because everything is there. Podcasts, videos, things going back to 2013. Of course, you can like, share, and subscribe to YouTube stuff. WPN Wrestling. And subscribe on greater podcast platforms. But I am now taking into account that I really, truly feel this way now. That WOW is only in this to fulfill the 5 years and get the content that they need in order for this thing to be syndicated out. It's already first run syndication, but that's first run syndication. They want to send it elsewhere. They want to do like what they're doing with this fast channel that they're going to share with the NWA, or the fast channel that they got on Pluto TV. I think that's all that, at this point, that might be the grand idea of this. Just push WOW, fill the episodes, and make sure that when they make this streaming channel that, all right, well, we got enough content here just to keep this thing running. That's what I really feel like they're aiming for, because it cannot be we're looking for quality. It cannot be that we're trying to get the best match or the best talent. Those things cannot exist. I refuse to believe that. So, Jeannie Buss, for the money that she's forked into it, and I hope that she's getting it back somehow, or maybe she don't care. Last I checked, she was listed as being with $700 million. So what's 2 or 3 being fed over to this vanity project that she's doing? Probably nothing. And as stated earlier, if you're not concerned about the bottom line, if you don't have to sell tickets to try to keep everything afloat, if you don't have to appease sponsorships, if you don't have to try to get people interested in order to purchase a pay-per-view, if you don't have to try to supplement the wrestler's income by like, hey, we got to get some of these t-shirts sold. If you don't have to do any of those things, then it doesn't matter what you do. The money's there. Hell, we can fly somebody in from Italy so she can come in and do TV there. And that's just flying them in. That's not paying them, and that's not putting them up, and that's probably not stipend money or transportation. If you have no reason to have restraint or any reasons to be concerned necessarily about the budget, means nothing. And that's it for me. I have given all I can give. I've gone on about this show as much as I care to. So I will do the normal close, and hopefully this next episode will be less mentally strenuous. So, for myself and the Women's Pro Wrestling Network, this is Mr. Green saying that this is Mr. Green saying so long, and we will see you on the next go-round. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the WPN's Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling. If you have questions or comments, please contact us via our Facebook or our YouTube channel at the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. If you're new to the WPN, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like our page. We appreciate your support. Thank you again for listening.